Former The Mandalorian actress Gina Carano has responded to the Walt Disney Company's motion to dismiss her lawsuit, which she filed against the company back in February. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. I wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And before we get to Carano's response, let's just kind of go over some of the details that lead up to this, right? So, like I said, she filed her lawsuit back in February with the suit detailing it is a, quote, civil action arising from defendant's wrongful termination of Carano's employment in retaliation for Carano's lawful exercise of her right to speak and express her views. Specifically, defendants under the regime of former Disney CEO Bob Chapek fired Carano because of her posts on various social media platforms, including X, formerly known as Twitter. Carano composed and published the post while she was off duty and away from the workplace. The suit also alleged defendants terminated Carano's employment and took other retaliatory actions to limit and deny her future employment opportunities, including but not limited to making maliciously false statements about Carano with the intention of damaging her reputation and thus her ability to find and retain work. That'll be important because this is part of Carano's response. The suit also stated defendants treated Carano differently than her similarly situated male coworkers, who likewise expressed their personal political views on social media, but upon information and belief were not counseled or disciplined, let alone terminated. There are a number of examples in the lawsuit from Mark Hamill, Pedro Pascal, and Carl Weathers. The lawsuit specifically accused the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm of wrongful discharge and refusal to hire, and sex discrimination. And then the Walt Disney Company filed a motion to dismiss earlier this week, arguing that, quote, Disney makes this motion on the grounds that Disney has a constitutional right not to associate its artistic expression with Carano's speech, such that the First Amendment provides a complete defense to Carano's claims. Later in their motion, the company's lawyers argued Carano's claims are all barred by the First Amendment, as the Supreme Court held in Hurley v. Irish American Gay, Lesbian, and Bisexual Group of Boston. The First Amendment embodies a core principle of speaker's autonomy that bars the state from dictating to expressive enterprises what to say, how to say it, and whom to say it through. Disney continued saying, or Disney's lawyers continued, as the court further held in Boy Scouts of America v. Dale, that principle means that a state cannot force an employer engaged in speech to speak through an employee whose own views or public profile could compromise the employer's own message, even if the employee does not express her views on the job. Interestingly, the motion to dismiss appears to confirm that Carano was fired over her political opinions, and specifically an Instagram post she shared to her Instagram stories. The post reads right here, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. And then there's a quote, and obviously this is not something that, this is something that Carano shared. It was from Warrior Priest Jim podcast. And then there's a quote, which I assume is from the podcast. It says, because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? So the motion states the coup de grace came in February 2021 when Carano admittedly reposted on Instagram a post comparing criticism of politically conservative viewpoints to the Holocaust in Nazi Germany. So they are admitting that she was fired for this Instagram story post. It adds Carano's decision to publicly trivialize the Holocaust by comparing criticism of political conservatives to the annihilation of millions of Jewish people, notably not thousands, was the final straw for Disney. As Carano alleges, Lucasfilm that same day denounced her statements and observed that it had no plans to employ her in the future. The motion later added Disney had enough. The same day, Carano grotesquely trivialized the Holocaust as comparable to sharp political disagreements. Lucasfilm announced that Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. So this is Carano's response right here. This is what you've all been waiting for. She reacted to this on X, and she wrote, Disney has confirmed what has been known all along. They will fire you if you say anything they disagree with, even if they have to misrepresent, malign, and mischaracterize you to do it. They are now on record letting everyone who works for them know that Disney will take any chance they get to control what you say, what you think, or they will attempt to destroy your career. Glad we cleared that up. She then added, the First Amendment does not allow Disney to wantonly discriminate, which is what they have done in my case, and frankly have now admitted they did. If you ever wanted to know what today's Disney values are, they just told you. I think that is 100% accurate. That is a fantastic response to this motion to dismiss. That's also kind of how I read their motion to dismiss. I thought it was absolutely wild and bizarre that they were indeed admitting that they fired her due to her political beliefs, which she is suing them over. I thought that was a massive, massive misstep by the Walt Disney Company's lawyers, and I was frankly shocked that I was reading that in the motion to dismiss. And clearly, that is something that Gina Carano, as well as her lawyers, have picked up on as well. But I'm not a legal expert. I've read some things. Obviously, Andrew Esquire from Legal Mindset believes that the case will not be dismissed and that it will continue to go forward. Ron Coleman was a little more cautious. He believes that there is potential that this could be dismissed. And he actually talks about how there's even bigger ramifications regarding the First Amendment with this case, and that it could go a lot further. So he doesn't think that it could be dismissed in that case because you could see it move through the courts. He also notes that it could be dismissed because you're dealing with California judges, and they are a different type of animal out there. But I think that Disney made a huge misstep here. Again, I think this isn't just this case isn't just obviously something that's going to be taken in front of the courts. It is obviously something that is going to be taken in front of the public as well. It's going to be very public, very similar to Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Obviously, Johnny Depp was able to win out here in the United States after he lost in the United Kingdom. And I think obviously having that case televised, seeing everything, I think that definitely allowed people to see what was really going on with that case. And I think this case will be similar. It's going to be waged in the public as well as in the court. And we'll see if this motion to dismiss is recognized by the judge and they do that, or if he says no and they continue the trial process. But let me know what you guys make of what Gina Carano had to say here. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.